So AOC was on Lawrence O'Donnell on MSNBC, and she discussed her endorsement for Bernie Sanders. But what I found, what I found kind of off-putting about this clip is how Lawrence sets up this question. So you're going to see what I mean when you see it.
In addition to your work in the committees and your investigative committees, you're also become very active now in the political campaign, actively campaigning for Bernie Sanders, endorsing Ed Markey for Senate in Massachusetts, and endorsing a new candidate, Attorney Cisneros in Texas, running for the House in Texas. You're spreading your endorsements around the electoral map. How much of that is something that is distracting from your daily work in the House?
Well, I put my work in the House front and center. But what I do believe is that these endorsements are part of the work that we have to do in the House. Very frequently, someone will say, oh, we can't pass a Green New Deal. We don't have support for that. Oh, Medicare for All is, quote unquote, unfeasible because we may not have support in certain areas of the House. Well, if we want to change that, then we need to be changing the math of the House. And we need to be protecting those folks who are leading and are taking political risks in order to serve the people of the United States of America. And so my work, first and foremost, informs the other work that I do to organize the electorate. But it is important to acknowledge that in order to pass a transformative agenda for working class Americans, we got to have the numbers and we got to have the leadership in place. And so we have to play in both if we're really going to change this country and if we're serious about that.
All right, that was a fantastic answer or response. That's exactly why these endorsements are important. You're not going to get this agenda pushed through if you have people in Congress like Nancy Pelosi. I know she's not going to say it, but Nancy Pelosi as the leader, you're not going to get a big progressive agenda passed. So that's why these sorts of endorsements and supporting Bernie Sanders does matter, because you need a leader like Bernie Sanders to actually get any of this done. But just going back to his question here for a second, Lawrence O'Donnell's question: is any of this, all these endorsements, is it a distraction from your work in Congress? Do you think he would ask that question if she endorsed Elizabeth Warren? Do you think he would ask that question if it was Tim Ryan and Tim Ryan endorsed Joe Biden? Do you think Lawrence would say, Tim Ryan, is this a distraction, this endorsement? Is it a distraction from your work in Congress? No. Lawrence definitely would not be asking that question. Now, part of it is because AOC is doing some actual work. I mean, she is getting things done. She is leading in Congress on many of these progressive bills like the Green New Deal. So I guess that's part of the reason why that kind of idea is in Lawrence's head. But it's not the kind of question that he would ask if it was a different congressperson that was supporting somebody who wasn't progressive or supporting somebody who wasn't Bernie Sanders. You just know that because you've seen we've all seen them. We've seen these people on television that have endorsed people, and they're not asked, is this endorsement distracting? When has anybody been asked that question? But when it comes to Bernie, well, are you distracting with all these progressive endorsements? I mean, is this really what you should be doing right now? It's obvious. And I don't even think, like, people always think, oh, it's intentional. They know exactly what they're doing. You guys really, the people that think that, you give these people too much credit. That's not often what is happening. They're just in a bubble. This is how they think. So to them, it's normal to question somebody who endorsed somebody progressive as opposed to endorsing somebody who is status quo. That's their worldview. Now, some of them, yeah, I'm sure they are knowingly misinforming people, but a lot of it is they are just in their bubble. I mean, it's just natural for people to justify their actions. Even like the most evil people in the world, oftentimes they will self-justify their actions. They will think, well, I had to do this because, what's the alternative? They'll find ways to justify it to themselves. Now, the people that are actual sociopaths, actual psychopaths, yeah, they don't self-justify. They don't need to. But the ones that aren't, the ones that are just in this bubble, think a certain way, they self-justify. They justify why they do certain things, ask certain questions, say certain things, support certain issues. They justify it to themselves in some way to make themselves feel better. So that's all that's happening here.